reach various audiences. So what digital offers us is more efficiency for television. At the same time, it gives more high-definition quality pictures and better sound. And at the same time, it frees frequencies for many other development activities, like community radio, even community television. It allows African broadcasters, instead of being only urban broadcasters, to now think of doing rural broadcasting. Because the frequency, you don't need too much frequency to do broadcasting, as was the case in the past.
As was the case in the past.
Yeah.
Quickly, just tell our audience, what is the difference between digital broadcasting and analog broadcasting?
Simply put, technology has developed to the point where one frequency, which used to be used to deliver services to an audience, that frequency can literally be broken into maybe 8
boxes.
Yes, boxes. So you can compress the signals, and it allows you more bandwidth to be able to do 8 channels when you could just do 1. So it allows a country or a society to produce a variety of channels.
So we are moving from terrestrial broadcasting to satellite broadcasting.
Definitely. And like I said, also with high definition or even ultra high definition pictures that look almost real. And therefore, it makes television more interesting, more attractive.
And increases the chances of live programs.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
The United Nations Child Agency, the International Telecommunications Union, through the World Radio Conference held in 2006, and ruled that everyone must go digital broadcasting by 2015, and member states adopted that, including African countries. Less than a year to the deadline, will Africa switch over completely?
I have my doubts, unfortunately, because I've been attending a lot of African Union broadcasting meetings, and it's quite clear that many of our countries are facing challenges. And these challenges are because of a number of factors. Many of these countries lack the financial muscle to be able to put in place a digital platform. It's an expensive undertaking. Many of these countries, even managing one analog station was a problem. Now, putting in place the infrastructure to be able to do digital broadcasting has been a challenge. Luckily, a few have been able to move across. They've done the migration in South Africa, in Kenya, in Tanzania, and therefore we have their experiences to learn from. Somehow, many of these switchovers have not been very, very smooth. In fact, some have switched back because there has been an uproar from various sections of the population about the fact that the services are not reaching them. Now, remember that in many African countries, a lot of people have already bought analog television sets. What it means is that before you can do a switchover, that will not cut away or take away a lot of people's television viewing opportunities. You have to ensure either that everybody who had a television already gets a digital TV, or you have to make available set-top boxes. Now, these set-top boxes are not cheap. In fact, the cheapest you can get probably in the range of $30, $50, $40. And that is not small money for many poor African families. And if you imagine a country, I can take my country for example, we estimate that there are 6 million analog TV sets in the country already. So for us to be able to do a switchover and not deny Ghanaian families the opportunity to watch television, we have to find a way of making available 6 million digital set-top boxes.
Is there an alternative to ensure that?
There is no alternative. The national governments must find a way, and that is what we are doing. We have put several proposals before our government.
We'll be coming to the proposals and the challenges in a moment, but I just want us to trash this issue. An argument which is running, especially here in Cameroon, is that for digital broadcasting to be effective, the Cameroon radio television must be decomposed. In other words, scrapped and give birth to new corporations such as Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, Cameroon Production Corporation, CPC, Cameroon News Corporation, CNC. Is that the case in Ghana equally?
Well, Ghana, our system is a bit different from your system, because I know that whilst you have Cameroon television. We have one radio and broadcasting in one
No, we have radio and television. It's a single. Is that the same debate equally in Ghana?
Yes, it is. But in Ghana, what we have is that we have a vibrant private television landscape. We have about 15 private television stations.
Almost the same in Cameroon.
Good. Now, the problem is that the government's intention originally was to set up the digital platform and hand it over to the national broadcaster, which is my organization. Now, our private colleagues protested that they didn't feel comfortable because unlike the analog television, where every station sets up its own transmission sites, with digital television, all stations are going to use the same platform. So the idea was for us to take away our transmission assets, that is Ghana Broadcasting. Our colleagues who are in engineering and transmission will be formed into a separate company. And so I, as Director General, will no longer have control over those who are in transmission. In fact, we've already set up a company which we call the Ghana Digital Transmission Company. Now, this company is sitting there, and this company is supposed to take over the digital platform which will be set up. And this company will now offer services to Ghana Broadcasting and offer services to any other private operator. So all of us go to this company and we buy services from the company.
Who owns the company in that case?
Well, that is the problem. Now, this company was going to be set up by the government. And so the government naturally felt that this company should be handed over to Ghana Broadcasting. Our private colleagues protested that they were not comfortable because they believed that since the company would be partially owned by Ghana Broadcasting...
Censorship.
Yeah, not only censorship. Their fear is that in the event where there is a need for partial services to be provided to the state broadcaster, they are likely to suffer. I mean, anytime there is a choice between offering service to the state broadcaster and offering service to a private station, these gentlemen who are state employees will likely offer services to the state broadcaster to the detriment of the private broadcasters. And so we came to a compromise that we were going to set up a private-public partnership. That is, this new transmission company, which is going to manage the digital platform, will not be owned totally by the state. The state will have 50% ownership and the private operators 50% ownership.
How much has the state spent in setting all of that, in buying equipment and whatsoever?
The state intends to spend $98 million. Now, that is where the catch, the problem comes. The state imagines that it will cost $98 million to set up this digital platform. The state intends to hand over this $98 million to Ghana Broadcasting. So, if having agreed that we're going to have a public-private partnership, 50% for the public, 50% for the private, we then asked our private colleagues to match the state funding. So if the state is putting in 98% and you want 50% equity in the company, also put in...
Because you are working, yes. You are working according to the forces of capitalism.
Yes, you want to be a partner. What are you bringing into the partnership? We are putting $98 million on the table. What are you putting there? Now, the private operators' argument is that they have already established television stations. They've mounted their antennas. They've set up their equipment. They've bought analog equipment already. Many of them are still repaying loans that they have taken to set up these television stations. And so it was unfair to ask them to scrap their equipment, because the moment we move to digital transmission, the analog equipment is scrapped. Meanwhile, they haven't even finished paying, some of them, for the equipment they have used to set up their stations. Mm-hmm. So their argument is that since this is a one-off, which is happening because the world has taken a decision to transition to digital television, mm-hmm. the state should provide the platform. Mm-hmm. And the state should cost their analog equipment. Mm-hmm. And the cost of the analog equipment, which will be scrapped, should now be put into the new company. Mm-hmm. So whatever the value of their equipment is, that is the value they will take in the new company.
This is a statement from the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, digital broadcasting is a world of content developers, a world of infrastructure providers, operators, equipment manufacturers, opinion leaders, policy makers. In this world of digital broadcasting, it seems to me that there are just so many actors involved. Who does what, where, how, and why?
No, but that is a very important quotation you are making, because that quotation puts a finger on one of the key issues that is going to determine success of digital broadcasting in Africa, and that is content. Now, imagine Cameroon broadcasting. I don't know how many television channels you have, but with digital broadcasting...
About 17 of them.
Good. It will give you many more opportunities to do maybe 40 channels. You can now do functional channels. You can do a channel for entertainment, a channel for movies, a channel for sports, a channel for music, a channel for news, 24-hour news, those kinds of things.
Like it operates at the BBC.
Good. The next question is, having developed these channels, how are you going to fill them? Because you have 24 hours of a sports channel. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do to fill the 24 hours? In the past, when you had an analog channel, maybe you did sports 30 minutes or so, or 1 hour a day. Now you have 24 hours. So content is going to be king. Now, how to generate content, how to produce content, is going to be the next battle. And that is where the AUB comes in. The AUB is simply an association of African broadcasting organizations who know that together, united, we are stronger than working individually. Just like in everything else, in unity there's strength. And therefore, the AUB, having seen the threat posed to African broadcasting by digital migration, not because digital migration is not good, but because digital migration is so good that if we don't take advantage of this migration, we are going to be swamped by foreign content. Because we will have so many channels, we will not be able to generate material, productions, to fill the content.
So you have to do exchange of programs.
Yes.
Where I cannot produce, I take from you.
Good. So that is why we want to do what we call the multimedia network over satellite, MINOS. That is, in short, what we call MINOS. Now, this MINOS, center, has already been established in Algeria. The Arabs have gone ahead. They've done it, and if you go to Algiers and you visit the MINOS center, you will see that all the Arab countries, their television stations, you can sit in Algiers and then you can pick content from Jordan, from Saudi Arabia, from Libya, from Morocco,
Egypt,
anywhere. And so there is a good fusion of content, and therefore it makes the Arab countries, it gives them the capacity to fill all the channels that they pick up, because you can when you are having problems developing your own content, you can pick up content from your neighbor. So we are now trying to extend the MINOS to the rest of Africa to ensure that we will also have the capacity. So Cameroon television with MINOS should be able to fill its content with programs from Nigeria, programs from Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire.
Let me inject an idea, Mr. Director General. Yeah. Is the BBC model usable in Africa? Because what the BBC does is that, okay, there is Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3, BBC 1, BBC 2, BBC 3, BBC 4, BBC News Channel, and BBC World News. Okay, for example, I take a program like Hard Talk, which goes on the air on BBC World News at 9:30 p.m. Cameroon time on a certain Monday, and you find the same program the next day on BBC One at 5 p.m. where there is a rotation of programs within the same channel. Is that a solution?
Yeah, that is what we are doing in Ghana, for example. Now, we have set up an all-news channel modeled on the BBC model. We've set up an all-sports channel. We've set up an all-religion and culture channel. And at the same time, we've set up an all-entertainment channel. So what we are doing is...
That is as GBC?
Yes, but GBC 24 is all news.
All news.
GBC Sports Plus is sports. GBC Live is culture. And then GTV is a mixture of everything. So we think that the BBC model is fantastic, and we are learning from it.
Okay.
And then with the digital...
Is it for national interest? Because some countries may not be ready to take programs from other from other nations for nationalistic reasons.
I'll be surprised why. If you can take programs from China, you can take, I've seen a lot of these soap operas. They come from Mexico.
Okay.
They come from Brazil. Now, if you can take programs from Brazil, Mexico, where the people are completely different from the people in your country.
Maybe there are some diplomatic spin-offs from that.
Well, and that is why we want to guard against. Because, like you know, free things are very expensive. And that is the reason why Minos is crucial for Africa. Because without Minos, with so many television channels, African countries are in danger of picking free programs from Germany, Deutsche Welle, from Al Jazeera. But these programs are not made for us. They are made for other audiences. And then we, because of our dependency, we have developed a culture of dependency. We always like free things. And because of this, we are likely to be feeding this content to our people. This will affect their minds. And as we grow, we are going to be influenced by foreign choices.
Okay. One area which is of concern, especially to our audience, is the technical and financial challenge of digital broadcasting. This is an issue worth billions of dollars. Now, how do you federate such actions at the African Union of Broadcasters to reduce?
That is one thing we are looking at very closely. And that is the more reason why we need this Africa-wide union. Because, as you know, the African countries are in various stages of development. Some are probably more developed than others. And so we need to pool our resources and share our resources. Even in the digital migration, some countries have gone ahead already. They've faced all kinds of challenges. But obviously, they've developed capacity and capabilities that would be useful and lessons for those who have not yet gone, so those who have not yet migrated don't make the same mistakes. And those who have not yet migrated can learn the technical lessons of those who have migrated. But if we don't have a central clearinghouse, like a union, where we can meet from time to time and share ideas, we are likely to repeat the mistakes of those who have gone ahead. So the African Union of Broadcasting exists to ensure that we can all move at the same time, probably, and if some have moved ahead, we learn from them and do not repeat their mistakes, and also pick up technical know-how from those who have gone ahead.
Okay, Mr. Director General, the African Telecommunication Union states that, quote, 43 countries look unlikely to meet the International Telecommunications Union's 2015 deadline to go digital, and your country, Ghana, is 13 months late, according to Business News.
Yeah.
This issue is expected to be effective as from June next year, if my statistics are correct.
Yeah.
Does it actually mean that if I have an analog TV set, as from June 1 next year, I will hear just the sound, no image on my television?
Well, it depends on the country. We are convinced that by 31st January 2014, we will do the switchover. Because as we speak now,
in Ghana?
Yes, as we speak now, in Ghana Broadcasting, we've done a pilot for 3 years. So in the capital region, we have 10 regions in Ghana. Well, Accra and the surrounding area is called Greater Accra.
Yeah.
That is one of the regions.
Yeah.
We have digital television in these areas. So one region in Ghana has already gone digital. It has been digitized for 3 years now. So we already have the skills, we have the know-how, we've practiced it for 4 million people. But our country is a country of about 24 million people. So we still have to extend services to 20 million people. And so we've already learned our lessons, we've made our mistakes, we've done everything. It's a question.
Is the Ministry of Communication playing any role in this business? And the National Communication Authority?
There are 2 ministries which are involved in this. We have a Ministry of Information and a Ministry of Communication.
Okay.
But this digital switchover is largely a Ministry of Communication issue. So the Ministry of Communication is driving the digital switchover through the National Communication Authority, but with some very significant interest by what we call the National Media Commission.
And the band frequency is at 174/230 megahertz for Ghana, and 470/362 megahertz at the International Telecommunications Union, which Ghana chose in 2006.
Yes. So we have no problems with that. We are managing these frequencies, and we are even excited by another issue you haven't mentioned, and that is that with the switchover, it's going to free a lot of spectrum, what we call the digital dividend. There's a dividend.
Okay. What is that?
The dividend is simply that having compressed the signals into small parts of the bandwidth, there is a lot of surplus space, which can now be used by many other users of sound waves. Telecoms companies, even for WiMAX, for all kinds of things, which are now not finding space. So the communication authorities are going to have much more spectrum to be able to share to all the new platforms that are coming up for developing communications in Africa. So the digital, and the US, when they sold their extra bandwidth,
that was in 1996.
Yes, 2006, they generated $19 billion. So that is money from auctioning the extra bandwidth. Now in Africa, maybe we will not get that 19 billion. We believe in Ghana that we can get 1 billion from the dividend. And so it is not all a question of the governments putting in money. The governments put in money to reap later. In fact, the harvest will come very, very, very soon. And that is what we are urging our governments not to be reticent in allocating funds for the switchover. Because the switchover is not only money down the drain, it's essential for national development. Apart from creating this new television environment, it is also going to enhance communication, mobile services, and all the allied ancillary services to do with communication.
Mr. Director General, you are the Director General of Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, a combination of radio and television.
Yeah.
You are not appointed by the government of Ghana. How comes about?
Well, in Ghana, we have what we call a National Media Commission, which is independent of government. The National Media Commission is made up of 15 members. The 15 members are appointed by various groups in the country. The Trade Union Congress, which represents the labor unions, they have a member. The journalists, Ghana Journalists Association, they have a member. Institute of Public Relations. Incidentally, I'm the president of the Institute of Public Relations. We have a member. Advertisers have a member. Muslim Federation, they have a member. Christians Association, they have a member. Everybody has 15 identifiable major groups in the country. They all nominate one person to sit on the commission. It is that commission which appoints all the chief executives of state-owned media. Apart from Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, 2 of the leading newspapers in Ghana are owned by the government, or owned by the state, not the government. Owned by the state.
So you are not accountable to the government of Ghana?
No, I'm not. I wasn't appointed by the government. I was appointed by the commission. And therefore, I'm free. I have a contract. I have a 3-year contract. And within those 3 years, unless
you don't receive any pressure from the government of Ghana?
Nobody has ever called me.
Okay, the final question. The final question, Mr. Director General. Komla Dumor died weeks ago. He was from Ghana, working with the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, and immediately after his death was announced, the President of Ghana described him as one of Ghana's best ambassadors. Just how shocking was the Ghanaian community to hear that Komla Dumor is dead? Well, on Friday, he presented Focus on Africa. Saturday in the morning, he died.
This is a very sad issue, I can assure you. For many of us, upon hearing the news of his death, we switched off our TV and radio because we just didn't want to hear that he was dead. Because Komla Dumor was a special person. I mean, any Ghanaian will tell you he was one of the best examples of what we in Ghana believe we are. He was somebody who aspired to be the best of whatever he did. No wonder he did so well at the BBC. And to die at 41 was most shocking because, I mean, normally, conventionally, we expect that 41, that is when life begins. You expect to probably be dying after 70. And so for such a vibrant, intelligent, I mean, gentleman who had everything, the world at his feet, to just drop dead, literally dropped dead, I mean, it was shocking. But then sometimes we say that those for whom greater things are made do not stand on the world stage for too long. That is the reason why they achieve fame and greatness so early in their lives, because they have a timetable, they need to meet it and leave. And so what he has achieved in 41 years, maybe some of us will not achieve in 100 years.
For sure. The Director General of the Ghanaian Broadcasting Corporation, Major Albert Donchebe, thanks very much for accepting our invitation today.
Thank you for having me.